You were a computer engineer and working as an IT profession. What made you change the mind?
When I started working a 9 to 5 job, I realized that this is not something I want to do for the rest of my life. There's a myth that is going on that, only very rich people can become a pilot. That is not completely true.
When you got offer letter from INDIGO, where were you at that moment?
That was a moment I froze. My heart skipped a beat. The Indian aviation sector is one of the fastest growing in the entire world. Major airlines like Air India and INDIGO have ordered hundreds of new aircraft which are yet to be delivered in the next coming years. But the moment you lose your discipline, you are not focused enough, the aviation industry will treat you pretty bad.
Hi everyone, I'm Sumaya Ali, the founder of WindChasers. Welcome back to yet another podcast of WindChasers. Most pilot stories we hear are about success. Today's story is about waiting, self-doubt, rejection and still not giving up. Sandeep Mandela is a computer science engineer who worked as an IT professional and then chose to pursue aviation. Followed the conventional path, waited patiently and today flies for INDIGO. Welcome Sandeep to WindChasers.
Thank you, Sumaya, for having me here today.
You were a computer engineer and working as an IT profession. What made you change the mind?
So, even though I was pursuing computer science engineering, there was always a part of me that always loved aviation, and that was there since childhood. But then I chose to be a computer science engineer and further went on to work in IT. And only when I started working a 9 to 5 job in a cubicle in an office, I realized that this is not something I want to do for the rest of my life. The engineering behind machines which fly has always fascinated me. So that made me question my life choices that maybe this isn't not I want to do for the rest of my life. And then that's the point when I decided I want to choose aviation.
How easy was it, the transition from an IT profession to aviation?
It was definitely not easy, Sumaya, because as soon as I made the decision, the first thing I obviously did was went on to my parents to ask them. And they were a little hesitant. Of course, they tried to support me, but naturally, as parents, they always have that maybe this is not the right point in life to switch your careers, especially when you already have a well-paying job in the IT field, which is normally considered a very booming industry.
Did any people tell you that it is a wrong decision? Did you have a self-doubt at that moment?
Definitely, actually, a lot of my peers, my colleagues, my family, they were kind of skeptical about this decision I was making. That again, maybe this is not the right thing to do. You already have a job, well-paying job, which is a good career, a good company. Maybe just continue in this. So there were points when even I questioned myself that is it the right decision I am making?
There are two paths, conventional way and a cadet program. What is the reason you chose conventional way?
So at that point of time, when I started my research about aviation, when I started researching about all the different ways you can become a pilot, I felt that cadet program, even though the companies normally say give you a job guarantee, it felt a bit of a higher financial burden to me as compared to the conventional way. And again, I was a little confident that even if I go through the conventional way, I will end up getting a job in the airline.
So you think conventional way is something that you have to do everything on your own. So how difficult was it for you to choose a flying school?
Yeah, so that's one thing about conventional program. There's no one to constantly guide you. So you have to figure out everything on your own. So again, I did my research and based on online research, talking to other pilots, I finally decided my flying school.
What do you think students make mistakes while choosing a flying school?
When students normally come into this field, they don't have any idea. They don't have much idea about how to choose a flying school. So what I normally suggest people who have come into this field is there are a lot of parameters you need to consider while selecting a flight school. For example, one thing would be the total fleet they have, the aircraft they have, and the type of aircraft they have. And especially if you're choosing a school which is not in India, you have to make sure that all their aircraft are approved by DGCA. And then other than that, you should also make sure to check the instructor to aircraft to student ratio there so that You're not just waiting daily for you to get a chance to fly. Other than that, you also need to make sure that that particular FTO you're choosing are well versed with the DGCA requirements of CPL, and their curriculum is tailored to DGCA.
Sandeep, I would like to know which are these aircrafts that a student has to select? Do you have all this data updated online that they know that this is the aircraft approved by DGCA?
Definitely, DGCA normally keeps updating their list, and it is mentioned in the civil aviation requirements on the DGCA website.
Sandeep, where did you do your flight training?
So I did my flight training in Florida in the United States of America.
How long did it take for you to finish the training?
I completed my entire training in the US in around 10 months.
Oh, that's outstanding. There is always a myth and confusion between the students that, it takes in a conventional way, it takes longer period of time. Do you think that's true?
It totally depends on the flight school you choose, and most importantly, it depends on how you perform while you're flying.
How dedicated you are to it.
Exactly. Every day you don't study for a flight and you go, you're just wasting that flight, you're wasting the day.
Okay. How did you feel the process when coming back to India, What was the process and steps?
So after coming back to India, the first thing I had to go through was the conversion process. And since, again, I was not very well aware of the process, I took a little longer, and I did my conversion flying in India, and then went on to get my DGCA CPA.
That's really nice. And how did INDIGO happen?
So as soon as I got my DGCA CPA, I was waiting, and then an INDIGO came up with a vacancy for GFO. I applied to the vacancy, and they have a lot of rounds, one after the other. So the first round was the written assessment. You have an exam, an MCQ based exam. So once you clear that, you are called for the psychometric evaluation, which is called ADAPT by INDIGO. So that is a exam or an assessment where they test your critical thinking, your hand-eye coordination, and basically a little about your psychological health. So once you clear that, then you go on to the group discussion, which is a group of 6 candidates where, they give you a common topic and you just discuss about all the pros and cons of that.
How difficult is that group discussion? I heard many people fail in that.
Definitely, yeah. That's one of the rounds where there's a lot of rejections. So it totally depends again, on the group you got and how you normally handle conversations. You should make sure that you're not completely silent in the group, and as well as you also have to make sure that you're not interrupting everyone and not giving them other chance. It should be a balanced conversation.
Any topic that you would like to tell us? What topic they would, ask in group discussion?
So the topic that my group got was they gave a small scenario saying there's an aircraft, you're the captain of an aircraft which is on short finals to a runway, and the weather is extremely bad, and there are a lot of other aircraft. There's very heavy air traffic in that area. So as a captain, what are the measures you will take, and what is the communication and the measures you will take in order to handle such a situation? We just had to discuss about that.
Thank you so much for this, Sandeep, because this clarity is much needed for the students who are pursuing that CPL training. How long was your waiting period after training?
Waiting period was pretty long. After I finished my training and I finished all my process, I almost had to wait around 2 years to get into the airline. This was normally because of a lot of reasons. That time, INDIGO also was going through some issues regarding aircraft delivery of new aircraft.
So you had to patiently wait and watch every day, seeing your emails, checking your email.
Exactly, Sumaya.
Okay. Sandeep, when a person gets a job in any airlines, there's a long wait as well sometimes, that takes a toll on yourself mentally and financially. How did you deal with it?
So definitely it was a little, I would say, a hard time during that phase, because you are unsure of when the process will go further, when you'll be inducted. So in that time, I just tried to keep myself busy, engaging in fitness or sports activities. And then after a few months, I ended up working as a ground instructor, teaching students and mentoring students who are just stepping into the aviation field. that kept myself busy as well as kept myself in touch with aviation. And apart from that, of course, you always have to keep in touch with the from a theoretical perspective everything you studied, because even aviation is a very volatile industry. The information that you retain is very volatile, that even if you go 1 or 2 weeks without studying, without keeping yourself updated, you tend to get rusty and you forget everything.
Yeah, a lot of students think is just you learn flight training and that's all, so studies will be part of you throughout.
Exactly.
Sandeep, you have been an engineer, then you went on to become a pilot. Your parents supported you finally. What do you think parents should know before they choose this career for the child?
So normally, as soon as someone says that I want to become a pilot, parents get a little hesitant because this is normally not a routine path. Not a lot of people choose this path in their career. So the first thing they need to understand is basically, even though this is a field with a very high investment, once their child gets into the airline, the return of investment is very fast and very high. And one more thing that parents need to understand is that they they need to have patience. They need to have patience where they have to wait for some time in order for their children to start earning or get into an airline.
What do parents do not understand about pilot training? What are the things do you feel, parents fail to understand a child what is going through during the phase of waiting and the training which is happening?
So one thing that parents need to understand is that training to become a pilot takes time. They need a lot of patience. Both parents as well as their children need a lot of patience to get through the training, because becoming a pilot is no joke. When you are in the cockpit, you are responsible for hundreds of lives with you. So that waiting time is a little discouraging. But one good thing about it is, even though you're investing a lot of money, once your children get the job, get into an airline, the return of investment is very fast because airlines are very high paying jobs. And again, one very good thing is your children are getting the return of investment while doing something they love.
Okay. There is a myth amongst a lot of youngsters and parents, especially. They feel this career is only for rich kids. Since you have taken a conventional path, you have also gone for a loan. I would like you to give us little pointers or, address this question.
So, yeah, even I agree with this. There's a myth that is going on that, only very rich people can become a pilot. That is not completely true. I agree, pilot training comes with a lot of investment, but so are a lot of other fields. If you want to take a very serious career, there will be a lot of investment that is there. But you need not be so rich or have so much cash ready when you want to pursue it. There are a lot of banks which give out education loans, and your payment period starts only once they get a job.
Every career, you need to pay a lot of money, whether it is a doctor, whether it's engineer. But I do not understand why only in aviation they feel it's, unless you choose to, plan it out properly. I don't think there's any kind of only rich kids can do this.
Exactly. I think all of this boils down to the fact that every other person you see is either being an engineer or a doctor, which is a very conventional career, while becoming a pilot is a very rare and a very unconventional path of career you choose. So I think this is just the fact. That's the reason people think that pilot training is extremely expensive.
Yeah, okay. Coming back to the point when you got offer letter from INDIGO, where were you at that moment?
That's a very interesting question, Sumaya. So I gave my interview in Delhi, and after that I stayed back in Delhi for a few days. I was at a hotel, and one morning I just randomly wake up from bed, and I check my phone and I see a mail from INDIGO. That was a moment I froze. My heart skipped a beat, and I was too scared to open the email. Because it was just an email. So as soon as I opened the email read, "Congratulations, you have cleared the interview process." So that was, I think, one of the best days in my life I had.
Did you feel the waiting was worth it?
Definitely, that was a moment actually felt that all this waiting finally comes down to this. I finally succeeded.
We are very happy for you, Sandeep. WindChasers is very happy for you. How are the jobs right now in aviation, Sandeep? That's the first question which rises for every student.
So, considering the current scenario of Indian aviation, I would say this is one of the best times to become a pilot, for all aspiring pilots. The Indian aviation sector is one of the fastest growing in the entire world. And this scenario has changed recently, just after COVID, when major airlines like Air India and INDIGO have ordered hundreds of new aircraft, which are yet to be delivered in the next coming years.
Okay. Any one harsh truth about pilot training that you would like to address?
So, one harsh truth to aspiring pilots I want to address is there is always studying. You never stop studying once you become a pilot. Starting from day one of your journey, all the way till even you become an airline pilot, even if you're flying in the airline, you always have regular assessments, regular proficiency checks for which you always need to keep studying.
Okay. That's really nice. Studies is something which is always with you, that's always a myth between students that only flying is enough. What is that one non-negotiable quality a pilot should have?
So, I feel one of the most important qualities that a pilot should have is discipline and punctuality. As long as you are disciplined in this field and you are punctual to your flights, to your classes, everything, it's a very good career. But the moment you lose your discipline, you are not focused enough, the aviation industry will treat you pretty bad.
Thank you so much, Sandeep.